Hey, soul survivors. I have a viewer topic that she left a very interesting, thought invoking comment. So, thank you, Liz. So, she says, I finally got to experience the fight response last night. So, she's been through narcissistic abuse. So, she says, side note for context, untraumatized neurotypical brains will choose fight or flight. Neurodivergent brains will usually choose freeze or fawn. So will any traumatized brain. So that's the part we're going to go back to. Very interesting. Some things that I've noticed, some things I want you guys to share your take on it. So she says she's neurodivergent with layers of trauma. And I don't know what type of neurodivergent she has, but that deals with like autism and ADHD, Asperger's, those kind of things. So she says, I've always frozen in bad situations and couldn't stand up to men when they were trying to scare me. So I wish I knew her a little bit better, but she did say men. I'd like to know. And she's commented, she's been a follower for a year or two. And so she goes, something snapped on me this time. I fought back and opened up a whole can of worms. Turns out I may have just got retribution for a whole lot of women. 2023 went out with me in the back of a cruiser for the first time in my 46 years, and a very bad man in the back of another one. I'm over the shock and fear. Now I'm mad, but also proud of myself for standing up for me. Happy New Year. Thank you. Happy New Year to you too. Went out with me in the back of a cruiser for the first time. Very bad man in the back of another one. I'm not quite sure what happened. That part's confusing to me. But the part that I do want to talk about is first, it's great that you stood up for yourselves. A lot of times we do. We start feeling weak. But the part that really stood out, that she said that the neurodivergent brains will usually choose freeze or fawn. So she also says, so will any traumatized brain. So our narcissist, that's what got me thinking. Their brain is damaged. Also psychopaths, sociopaths. And they do fight. They do fight, but that's when they are exerting dominance, and they don't exert that dominance until they knock us down. So they are in the power aspect. And you are regaining your strength. I know a lot of neurodivergent, I will agree. They don't usually stand up for themselves as boldly. If you've been in a narcissistic relationship, you do somewhat stand up for yourself until you realize this is just not going anywhere and you'll shut down. But the narcissist does use the silent treatment. And that's kind of like that Fawn type thing. And so it's also could be a flight too. Depends, how they ghost us. But that's when they get found out. And when they get found out on that mask falling on who they truly are, they know that they're a weakened person. So as far as who stands up is the one in the power. And I noticed you said with the men, men are usually bigger. I'm 6'1", but I wonder what your background is with men, whether it is your father, your uncle, pastor, or anything like that, to where did you feel that you weren't allowed to stand up for yourself? Also, what generation you grew up in. And we all have a certain hierarchy in our relationships. And I know that the people that I know that are neurodivergent, I don't see them standing up for themselves as much. They might talk about it, try to figure it out, or go quiet about it. But I think there is something to the the power dynamics, because even a narcissist, because you say freeze or fawn, that they will start to lose their dominance, and that's when they go silent or lose their interest. Sometimes they just move on to something different. But the neurotypical brains, choose fight or flight. So sometimes, I'll agree with you on that, if you're not traumatized, neurotypical, pretty much healthy brain or standard brain, I guess, I don't know the exact correct term. But basically your standard, no other dynamics to it, predictable, that you're going to leave a situation when it's not worth continuing, such as, somebody yelling at you, you're like, look, I'm not going to put up with this, and you leave. And do you choose to fight? Do you choose to stand up for yourself? And if you are undamaged, untraumatized, standard neurotypical, that as far as the fight, that doesn't necessarily mean like physical. I don't think she's necessarily talking about physical. Sometimes, they will physically fight, but usually when you're untraumatized, that you can handle things without actually fighting. But the trauma response, most people don't start swinging unless it's something that they had to do, even if it's through sibling rivalry. But most people won't go to the physical aspect if they grew up in a safe home. But if you were in an unsafe home, you're more apt to resort to physical violence. So I just thought that was extremely interesting. Something snapped where she fought back. That's her regaining her self-esteem, to where she's like, I'm not taking this shit. And since she said I opened up a whole can of worms, I don't think that she got physical with the people, but she said, this is bullshit. I'm not taking your crap, whatever word she used. But opening up a can of worms is just, I'm going to say everything. And she stood up for herself. And it is freeing when you're like, I'm not taking this anymore. So let me know what you guys think on the untraumatized neurotypical brains choosing fight or flight. And neurodivergent brains usually choose freeze or fawn. So will any traumatized brain. It's really interesting. Yeah, the people, see, a lot of people you can assume what they have, but I know some people with their diagnoses, and it's very interesting. Trauma does change people. And there are some traumatized that I think that they will still fight until they lose power. And you'll see narcissists and sociopaths and psychopaths not giving up that power, even if they lost. Even if they lost, they want to maintain that power. And that's when they're continuing to fight, which is them trying to put that mask on of having the neurotypical brain, but they do it through lying. Very interesting. So congratulations. Yeah, don't take their shit. I'll see you in the next video. Happy New Year to you.